first video of the IB English Language and Literature series. Today, we'll look at how to structure your paper 1. So, the first thing to look at is the table of contents, basically. What your essay should have is an introduction that consists of 6 to 10 sentences, 3 body paragraphs, which should be about 30 sentences total, 20 on the absolute lowest side, but a 30 sentences minimum is ideal for the total number of sentences in your body, and then a conclusion of about 5 sentences. Your paragraph should be structured according to Peel. Of course, there's a very, very slight modification that I would like to add to this Peel structure to help you reach the top marks. But in general, if you know the Peel structure, following it roughly would help. But I'll walk you through the specific structure that got me a 7 in IB English, and I'll take you through an example of a past exam paper and the paragraphs that I wrote for that exam paper that got me a 7 on one of my summative assessments. So, let's start with the introduction. First, introduce the text briefly. Name the text type. So what sort of text is it? Is it an article, an advert, a poster, an appeal, a blog? What sort of text is it? Mention the purpose of the text overall. Is it to inform? Is it to persuade, entertain, advertise? What does it want to do? And state the target audience. Next, write a thesis. This is the most important part of your introduction because it lays out what your body paragraphs will say. Find which visuals and language features that are most important and how the text uses these to achieve its own purpose. So here's the frame that I used holistically through myriad literary and visual features. The author's name, employs, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, 2, and then the intended effect. So I memorized this thesis sentence frame and it got me a 7 in the end. So I'd suggest that you look at something similar to this sort of thesis and make sure you can write it consistently on the exams. So let's look at a sample introduction for this text on the left. This text is from the November 2020 paper 1 exam. So yeah, the sample introduction starts off with: in the Bulova Accutron's persuasive advertisement, originally published in a 1973 American magazine, the company positions its watch as a symbol of technological innovation and modern prestige. Created during a period when precision engineering and space-age advancements fascinated the public, the advertisement seeks to persuade a middle-class audience that owning an Accutron is not merely a matter of utility, but also of status and sophistication. The text's primary purpose is therefore promotional, to elevate the Accutron above competing timepieces by aligning it with progress, reliability, and aspiration. Holistically, through myriad literary and visual features, Bulova employs appeals to scientific authority, technological imagery, and aspirational symbolism to construct the watch as both a revolutionary device and a marker of cultural prestige. So that sounds like quite a fancy introduction, so let's break it down and see whether it fits the requirements. So the first requirement is to introduce the text. So in the Bulova Accutron's advertisement, originally published in a 1973 magazine, the company positions blah blah blah. So we know what company it is, Bulova Accutron. We know the product. Sorry, the company is Bulova. The product is Accutron, I think. And we know that it's been published in the 1973 American magazine, and we know what the purpose of the text is very briefly. Next, we need to look for the text type. Right here in yellow, it identifies the text type as a persuasive advertisement. So that's very important, and it flags to the examiner that you know exactly what the text is about and you understand the conventions of that text type. Next, we're looking at the overall purpose of the advertisement here and identifying the target audience. So in this blue section, we look at the overall purpose. That being that the advertisement seeks to persuade a middle class audience that the Accutron is not only useful but also a status symbol. And then it goes even further, saying in literally the word purpose, using that word here, the text's primary purpose is therefore promotional, flagging to the examiner with a big green flag saying, I know the purpose, it's right here. And we're looking for the target audience, right? And once again, flagging with a big green flag by saying the word audience here with middle class audience, you're signaling to the examiner you know the audience, and so the examiner can credit you for knowing the audience and the context in which the text was written. So now, finally, the most important part of the introduction, the thesis statement, is given here in pink. So the thesis states how the text, sorry, not both texts, that's a typo here, how the text uses scientific authority, so logos, technological imagery, so imagery, and aspirational symbolism, so symbolism, to construct a watch, so their product, as revolutionary and a marker of cultural prestige. So that's the purpose, to show the watch as a revolutionary device and a marker of cultural prestige. So this introduction clearly hits all 4 points, and so it's an excellent introduction that's been structured really well. So now let's look at the body paragraphs. Each body paragraph is one literary or visual device, and the topic sentence for that body paragraph introduces the device and also its intended effect. Next, you sort of use a peel format here. So evidence 1 from the article and the explanation, and that's the PEE. But now you transition to evidence 2. So it's PEET transition, and then EEL, so petal. So the transition to evidence 2 is basically just a one-liner connecting what you've just analyzed for the previous evidence and connecting it to the next bit of evidence that you're going to analyze. Both of these pieces of evidence should be focused on that one literary or visual device that achieves a specific purpose that you have outlined in the topic sentence. And then finally, you have a link back to the purpose and the audience. So let's have a look. This is a sample body paragraph for the exact same thing. Here I've picked diction because this is different to the introduction that I wrote earlier. So it's not the same literary features. I just picked one that I thought I could show you quite nicely that can be structured well. So the body paragraph says, in advertising, diction is carefully chosen to frame a product in ways that go beyond its practical function, shaping how the audience values it. In the Bulova Accutron advertisement, diction is used to present the watch as both scientifically validated and socially aspirational. To elevate the Accutron above ordinary mechanical watches, the advertisement adopts engineering diction, such as electronic and tuning fork. These words carry connotations of scientific testing and precision, suggesting that the watch is not simply fashionable but superior because it has been engineered with the same rigor that defines modern technology. This appeals directly to a 1970s audience, living in an age of space exploration and technological optimism, reinforcing the Accutron's reliability. To move from the scientific credibility to cultural aspiration, the advertisement then employs the phrase, the watch of the future. Unlike the earlier technical terms, this diction promises exclusivity and progress, persuading the audience that owning the watch situates them ahead of their time. By combining the language of engineering with the language of aspiration, the advertisement persuades its audience that the Accutron embodies both tested superiority and social prestige. And I forgot a sentence here that I'll add when I publish the slides, but it's on the next slide. Thus, through its deliberate diction, the advertisement transforms the Accutron from a mere wristwatch into a scientifically validated and aspirational product, fulfilling diction's role in shaping perception and persuasion. So, let's break it down. This paragraph is focused very clearly on diction, that's the literary device, and it's mentioned within the first three words. So you're already signaling to the examiner, I'm focusing on diction. I'm writing a very focused paragraph, and that's focusing very clearly on and explicitly on diction. So now let's have a look at the elements of a body paragraph. So the topic sentences here introduce the device and the effect. So here the first sentence is introducing diction and the general effect that it has. In the next sentence, we're talking explicitly about the advertisement and how diction presents the watch as scientifically validated and socially aspirational. So that's the effect of the diction in this advertisement. So it's being very specific and making a very specific point. Now, in pink, we're introducing some evidence. To elevate the Accutron above ordinary mechanical watches is an excellent transition into the evidence. It sort of creates a smooth flow from the topic sentence to the evidence without saying something rather simple like, for example, that obviously wouldn't get you the highest mark band. So creating some sort of transition like this that's very engaging but also extremely smooth is something that signals to the examiner that, hey, I know how to write and structure a really good paragraph, give me the marks for it. So now, to look at the evidence, we've quoted it here directly in quotation marks, electronic and tuning fork, directly from the text. So these quotation marks signal that, hey, this is the evidence, I've placed it here crystal clear, and this is exactly what you need to look at for the evidence. So now the examiner knows what to look at. Next, we look at the effect, right? So explain the effect. These words carry the connotations of scientific testing and precision, suggesting the watch is not simply fashionable but superior. So that's the effect. And now we're digging even deeper into the effect. This is the level 7 analysis now, right? So we're saying because it has been engineered with the same rigor that defines modern technology, and now we're connecting it to the audience. This appeals directly to the 1970 audience living in an age of space exploration and technological optimism, blah blah blah. So we're connecting it directly to the effect on the audience as well. Next, we have a transition to the second piece of evidence. This is sort of a smoothener. It makes it much easier to read the body paragraph. It improves the flow and rhythm of the paragraph, and that's quite important in scoring high marks. So the phrase is to move from scientific credibility to cultural aspiration. It's just about just under 10 words, but it's still an extremely powerful 10 words because it connects the previous pink section to the following pink section, the upcoming pink section, which is extremely important if you want to score high structure marks. So in evidence 2, we once again do the same thing. We quote the evidence in quotation marks, then we dive deep into the diction here. We first analyze what the diction means and then the effect on that language onto the audience and its broader effects. And then we finally have a link back to the purpose and audience. So here it elevates it from a mere wristwatch to a scientifically validated and aspirational product and persuades the audience. That's basically our link. So it's going in a full circle, right? We're starting off with the device, the effect, and why it's used for the audience, and we're ending off with what the device did, its effect, and why it was used. So we're basically going in a circle, and that's a very smooth sort of flow. We're starting at the same point that we end, and we're ending at the same point we start. So that's how you can structure it really smoothly and well. Lastly, we'll take a look at the conclusion. In the conclusion, you just have to restate the thesis, summarize how each device worked to persuade and inform, and evaluate the give like final comments and an outro. The outro should be just something memorable so that the examiner has a positive impression of your essay at the end. So the conclusion says, The Bulova Accutron advertisement ultimately succeeds in presenting the watch as more than a functional object. It becomes a symbol of innovation and prestige. By drawing on engineering diction to highlight scientific precision and aspirational language to promise cultural advancement, the advertisement appeals to both its audience rational trust in technology and their emotional desire for status. These carefully chosen features work together to fulfill the advertisement's promotional purpose, ensuring the Accutron is remembered not only as a timepiece, but as an emblem of modern progress. So let's take a look at this conclusion now. So first we need to restate the thesis. In the pink here, that's exactly what has been done. We look at the purpose of this advertisement from a retrospective point of view. So we look back at the purpose. We say it succeeds in presenting the watch as a superior watch. It's a status symbol, not just a watch. That was our thesis, and now we're just restating it. So summarize how each device worked to persuade or inform. So now we're looking at the addiction example here, and since that was the only device I used in this sort of video, I'm just writing about that one. But in your thing, you should ideally have three, so you'd just say engineering diction, comma, and then two more devices like imagery and symbolism, things like that. And then we look at how these devices highlight it very briefly. So it doesn't go super deep, it just says highlights scientific precision and language to promise cultural advancement. And now we connect it to the audience, so appeals to the audience's rational trust in technology and desire for status. So we just connect what impact it has on the audience quite briefly. We don't need to go much into detail, just one sentence is enough. Lastly, the final comments and the outro. So the final comments are that this works together. So all of the things we've done work together to fulfill the promotional purpose. That's the final comment. And this ensures that the Accutron is remembered, not remembered. So that's the final comment up till there. And the outro, which is meant to be memorable, to give a positive impression of your essay to the examiner, says, not only as a timepiece, but as an emblem of modern progress. So end strong. Not many students will say as an emblem of modern progress. So that's a way that you can sort of give the examiner a final sort of decisive sentence that sticks in their head and leaves them with a positive impression of your essay. So let's look at some final tips to nail the structure. So stick to 3 to 4 body paragraphs. At most 4. I would not suggest doing 4, and I think 3 is ideal. But if you must, then do 4. And make sure that each body paragraph has one device that it focuses particularly on. Use comparative language when appropriate. So similarly, whereas, however, it's usually appropriate during the transitions between paragraphs. So like this sentence here, you could also use however, similarly, like that. So you could say similarly, comma, to move from scientific credibility, blah, 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 blah. And the next thing is transition well between the evidence. That blue sort of sentence that I just showed you is extremely important to reach the top mark bands because it creates a smooth flow between the paragraphs and within the paragraphs, and it helps structure it really well. Always link to the purpose and audience. So this orange sentence over here is extremely important. So create a circular flow. Make sure that you end where you started so that it all wraps up really nicely. Make sure that your evidence is a short, precise quote directly from the text, or if it's from a visual, just a description of the visual. And answer the guiding question with at least one body paragraph. While the guiding question is optional, it's just better to answer it because the mark schemes that the examiners are given are based on the guiding question. So the examiners will look to check off points from there first, and if you can gain as many of those as possible, then of course you'll have more marks in the examiner's checkbook. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this proved helpful to you in the IB English course. I know that it's an extremely tricky course and quite subjective, but I hope that this video on structuring your essays proved useful. If you do have any further questions, please let me know in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching.